The Mercedes-Benz W125 Rechtswagen when men tried to outrun the wind. Imagine Germany in the late 1930s. The world is holding its breath between two wars. But in the workshops of Mercedes-Benz, engineers are holding theirs for another reason. They're about to build a car so powerful, so terrifying, that it will defy physics itself. This isn't just a race car. This is the Mercedes-Benz W125 Rekordwagen, the machine that would become the fastest car on Earth. Built in 1938, it wasn't designed for circuits or trophies. It was designed for one thing: speed. No corners, no laps, just a straight, endless stretch of German Autobahn and the will to go faster than anyone before. Under its smooth silver skin sat a 5.6-liter supercharged V12 engine hand-built, roaring with 736 horsepower. That's the kind of power modern supercars boast, but this beast did it nearly 90 years ago. The aerodynamics were beyond their time. A body sculpted to slice through air. The cockpit enclosed like a fighter plane. Every curve calculated by slide rule and genius. On January 28, 1938, legendary driver Rudolf Caracciola climbed into the cockpit. The Autobahn between Frankfurt and Darmstadt was closed. The air was cold, dense, perfect for speed. As the W125 thundered to life, it didn't sound like a car. It sounded like a storm trapped in metal. Caracciola pressed down the throttle, and the world blurred. Wind screamed past the body. The tires, thin, primitive, and handmade, clawed at the asphalt. At full stretch, the car hit 432.7 kilometers per hour, or 268 miles per hour, on a public road. No roll cage. No traction control. No fear. Just a man, a machine, and courage bordering on insanity. That record stood unbroken for nearly 80 years. Until Chiron finally surpassed it in 2017, and that was on a closed track. With computers and wind tunnels, the W125 did it with nothing but raw human instinct and pure engineering brilliance. But behind the glory was tragedy. Later that same day, another driver, Hans Stuck, attempted a similar run and burnt rose. Driving an auto union Challenger, was killed when his car was lifted by the wind and thrown into the trees. After that, high-speed record attempts on public roads were banned. The Mercedes W125 Rekordwagen became the last of its kind. The final roar of an era when men literally risked their lives to break limits. Today, only one exists, preserved, silent, gleaming like a silver ghost in the Mercedes Museum. But when you stand before it, you can almost hear it breathe. You can almost feel that moment, a lone driver on an empty highway. Bentley Speed 6, the Gentleman's Thunder. There was a time when racing wasn't about sponsorships or aerodynamics. It was about spirit. And no car captured that better than the Bentley Speed 6. The machine that made Britain believe it could outrun the world. The year was 1928. Bentley had already won at Le Mans, but their founder, W.O. Bentley, wasn't satisfied. He wanted something faster, stronger, and built not just for the track, but for legends. The result was the Speed 6. A car so mighty, it would become the backbone of Bentley's racing dynasty. Under that long green bonnet lay a 6.6-liter straight-six engine. Hand-built, smooth, yet brutal. It wasn't refined, it was raw British muscle. The car weighed over 2 tons, but that engine turned it into a rocket. With 180 horsepower, it tore across the roads of Europe, winning Le Mans in 1929 and 1930. Back behind the wheel was the no-mythical Bentley boys, wealthy racers, ex-fitters, playboys who drank hard, drove harder, and treated life like a race with no brakes. Names like Wolf Barnetto, Tim Birkin, and Dudley Benjafield became heroes. They weren't just racing for trophies, they were racing for glory. The Speed 6 became a national symbol, a moving cathedral of noise and pride. It wasn't delicate like a Bugatti or sleek like an Alfa. It was loud, unpolished, and brutally fast, a gentleman's tank with a heartbeat. And then came the moment that made it legend. In 1930, Wolf Barnetto made a bet. He claimed his Bentley could beat the famous Blue Train, a luxury passenger train that raced across France. The world laughed. But Barnetto didn't. He left Cannes in his Speed 6, drove day and night, and reached London for minutes before the train arrived in Calais. The impossible had been done. The Bentley Speed 6 didn't just beat a train, it beat disbelief. Today, when you see one, it still looks powerful enough to conquer time itself. The smell of oil, the roar of its engine, the thunder rolling from its side exhausts everything about it screams legacy. It's not a car built for comfort. It's a car built for courage. The Bentley Speed 6 didn't need wind tunnels or carbon fiber. It had something far rarer: soul. And every turn of its wheels still whispers the same message from the golden age of motoring. Power means nothing without passion. Duesenberg Model SJ, the car that made the world whisper wow. The 1930s weren't just about the Great Depression. They were also about defiance. And nothing defied reality quite like the Duesenberg Model SJ. This wasn't just a car. It was a declaration. A statement that even when the world was falling apart, beauty, speed, and ambition could still roar louder than despair. Born in Indianapolis and built by the legendary Duesenberg brothers, the Model SJ was more than luxury. It was engineering perfection wrapped in elegance. The J already stunned the world with its power and design. But the SJ, the supercharged version, changed the game entirely. Under its mile-long hood sat a 7.0-liter straight-eight engine, boosted by a mechanical supercharger that pushed output to a jaw-dropping 320 horsepower. In 1932, that was unheard of. Most cars barely made 80. The SJ could hit 217 kilometers per hour, 135 miles per hour. Faster than nearly any car in the world, faster even than most planes of its day. But it wasn't just fast, it was flawless. Every bolt, every line, every curve was designed to impress. The chrome glistened like jewelry. The body stretched like a cathedral on wheels, and the sound, that low, confident rumble, felt like a symphony of steel and pride. People didn't drive Duesenbergs to get places. They drove them to be seen. Hollywood royalty like Clark Gable, Gary Cooper, and Mae West owned one. Even kings and oil barons fought for the waiting list. To own a Duesenberg wasn't just status, it was immortality. The slogan said it all. It's a Ducey. That phrase became slang in America for something extraordinary. The Duesenberg wasn't built in mass numbers, it was crafted. Each piece handmade, each design tailored for its buyer. No two were exactly alike. And that's what made it art, not just engineering. But as the 1930s faded and the Great Depression deepened, the dream began to crumble. The world could no longer afford excess. Duesenberg, despite its brilliance, went bankrupt in 1937, leaving behind a handful of cars and an untouchable legacy. Today, the surviving SJs are among the most valuable collector cars on Earth. Some worth over $20 million, not because of speed or rarity, but because of what they represented. A time when human imagination refused to slow down, even when everything else did. The Duesenberg Model SJ wasn't built for everyone. It was built for the bold, the dreamers, and the ones who wanted to look at the impossible and say, "Start the engine." It wasn't just the fastest car of its age. It was America's masterpiece, a monument to power, pride, and perfection. Bugatti Type 57 SC Atlantic, the car that looked like it could fly. Some cars are built to go fast. Some are built to win races. But the Bugatti Type 57 SC Atlantic, it was built to be beautiful. It wasn't just a car. It was a sculpture, a dream carved in aluminum and speed. When it first appeared in the late 1930s, the world didn't quite know what to make of it. It didn't look like anything else on the road. It looked alive. This wasn't an engineer's creation, it was an artist's vision. That artist was Jean Bugatti, son of Ettore Bugatti, and a designer who believed that cars could move not just people, but emotions. The Atlantic was based on the radical aero concept car built from magnesium, a metal so light and flammable it couldn't be welded. So, Jean Bugatti riveted the seams by hand, creating that distinctive spine running from the nose to the tail, like a creature born from the wind itself. Underneath that flowing body was a 3.3-liter straight-eight engine, supercharged to produce around 210 horsepower. Astonishing for the 1930s, it could reach 200 kilometers per hour, 124 miles per hour with grace and poise. While the rest of the world was still struggling past half that speed, but power was never its main purpose. This was art in motion, a rolling expression of elegance and innovation. Every curve was deliberate. Every rivet, a signature. Every line whispered, "This is what happens when design meets devotion." Only 4 Atlantics were ever built, each one slightly different. I belong to British aristocrat Victor Rothschild, another to fashion icon Ralph Lauren, whose restored Atlantic is now worth over $100 million. One car disappeared after World War II. Never seen again, perhaps hidden, perhaps lost forever, a missing piece of automotive mythology. And then, the story turned tragic. In 1939, Jean Bugatti himself, the young visionary who had given the world this masterpiece, was testing another car on a quiet French road. A cyclist appeared suddenly. Jean swerved, the car crashed, and he was killed instantly. He was only 30 years old. His greatest creation would become his final masterpiece. Today, when you see a Type 57 SC Atlantic, it doesn't just stand as a car, it stands as a ghost of an era. An era when engineers were artists, when design was emotion, and when beauty could defy time. The Atlantic shape would go on to inspire decades of car design. From Jaguars to modern Bugattis, its influence runs like that same silver spine straight through automotive history. And when the sun hits its polished curves just right, it doesn't reflect, it glows. As if somewhere, Jean Bugatti is still sketching, still dreaming, still chasing perfection. The Type 57 SC Atlantic isn't just one of the most loved cars of the 1950s, it's one of the most loved cars of all time. A reminder that machines can have souls, and that sometimes art doesn't hang in galleries. Auburn 851 Speedster, the American arrow that defines style. Some cars are remembered for their speed, some for their luxury, but only a few, like the Auburn 851 Speedster, are remembered for their soul. It was the 1930s. America was deep in the Great Depression. Factories were silent, streets were quiet, and hope was running low. But in the small town of Auburn, Indiana, one car company decided that the world didn't need another sedan. It needed a dream. Enter the Auburn 851 Speedster, a car so beautiful, so fast, and so daring that it made people believe again. It didn't just roll off the assembly line. It burst onto the scene like a silver arrow slicing through the gloom. Designed by the legendary Gordon Burr, who would later shape the Cord and do. The Speedster was a masterpiece of Art Deco design. It had curves that looked sculpted by the wind itself. With a rear so sleek it was nicknamed the Boat. It didn't just move, it flowed. Under its long hood lived a supercharged Lycoming straight-eight engine, delivering an astonishing 150 horsepower, an extraordinary figure for its time. And it wasn't just a number, Auburn backed it up with proof. Every Speedster came with a plaque, signed by the factory, guaranteeing it could exceed 100 miles per hour. It was the first American car to promise triple-digit speed right out of the showroom. That wasn't marketing. That was confidence. Behind the wheel, the 851 wasn't just fast, it was alive. The whine of the supercharger, the deep rumble of the engine, the wind brushing past its split windshield, it was pure theater. Drivers didn't just take it for a spin. They took it for a moment. And, oh, what a moment it was. The Speedster wasn't built for racers or millionaires. It was built for dreamers, for anyone who wanted to touch the extraordinary. Even in difficult times, Hollywood stars adored it. Photographers loved it. The public idolized it. But like many beautiful stories, this one was short. By 1937, Auburn's parent company collapsed under the weight of the Depression. Only a few hundred Speedsters were ever built, and production came to an end. Yet, its spirit never died. Today, the Auburn 8 Speedster is one of the most collectible and beloved American classics ever made. Its shape has been copied, its style immortalized, and its roar remembered. It stands as a symbol of something greater than speed, a symbol of hope, of artistry, and of the courage to dream when the world said don't. Every time one fires up, every time that chrome glints under the sun, it reminds us of a truth that still drives every car lover's heart. Cars aren't just machines. They're mirrors reflecting who we are and who we want to be. The Auburn 851 Speedster wasn't just built to go fast. It was built to make people feel alive.